Hey everyone, welcome to Ink Scribes, the comics podcast where we discuss the art and craft of comics. I'm Colin Singh. I'm an aspiring comics artist, and I'm joined by my co-host Eric Zawadzki, the artist on the critically acclaimed Assorted Crisis events from Image Comics, written by the critically acclaimed Dennis Camp, and the first trade paperback for which is available now. And I'm also joined by Taylor Stauft, the creator of Luke Zenith's Wedding Day, a short story featured in the comics anthology Faster Than Light, Volume 2. So today, we've got a very special episode where it's going to serve doubly as our very first Halloween special. And we're going to be continuing our look at the awesome career of Barry Windsor-Smith. Today, we're going to be looking at the short stories that he did during the 70s, which were more specifically geared towards the horror genre. We did promise in our last episode that we'd cover his Avengers work, but because it's spooky season, we figured we'd look at all the horror comics that he did from 1969 to 1971. The short stories he did for Tower of Shadows and Chamber of Darkness, both from Marvel Comics, and plus a special bonus short story that he did that we'll be looking at the end of the episode.
We're looking at 5 Marvel horror shorts, and I don't have all the original comics, unfortunately, but fortunately they've all been reprinted, so we have access to all of them in one way or another.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, let's do a quick history lesson of horror comics leading up to these comics.
Yeah, as you'll recall from our Tomb of Dracula episode, horror comics quite popular for the majority of the first 15 years of comic book history. And then in 1954, the Comic Book Authority is established, and it effectively kills the genre just due to the number of restrictions that are placed on them. Villains getting away, showing of blood, that sort of thing. And then in towards the end of the 60s, we start to get some real loosening of the Comics Code requirements. Namely, the biggest one being that one, you could depict drug usage if it were a cautionary tale, thanks to Stan Lee, and two, you could use literary horror concepts, so Dracula, Frankenstein, those sorts of things, and that just kind of opens up the door for just more and more loosening, which is how we end up with these sorts of things. H.P. Lovecraft, which we'll see a bit of, and other various monsters.
Yeah, I guess DC got the ball rolling first with House of Mystery and House of Secrets, and I guess Marvel saw how that was going and decided to jump in with Tower of Shadows and Chamber of Darkness.
They never miss a chance to jump on a bandwagon.
Yeah.
There was this really cool Fantagraphics reprint. This is Lost Marvels Volume 1, which prints all or most of the Tower of Shadows stuff. Because I don't have Tower of Shadows #1, and I just quickly wanted to show off. This is a Barry Windsor-Smith episode, but I mean, I do want to show off very briefly the Tower of Shadows #1 by Jim Steranko, because it's kind of a legendary comic.
How could we not, right?
Yeah.
And we'll cover this more in depth in a future episode, because we will start a Jim Steranko series soon. But I primarily wanted to show off our character here, Digger, which I guess all horror comics, it was seen, needed to have a narrator of some kind, which I think started with EC Comics, and then like the example of House of Mystery and House of Secrets. I think who were the horror narrators for that? What was it?
It was Cain and Abel.
Yeah, because they show up in Sandman later on.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like, you got Tales of the Crypt, you got the Crypt Keeper, Digger, you had the Cain and Abel. There's also, of course, Vampirella. And
what were the EC ones?
They're like the hosts, right? They're almost like the hosts.
Yeah, because I believe EC originated it, right?
Yeah,
originated the the tradition, and then EC goes under because of the introduction of the Comics Code, and
Yeah.
and then I guess these like Marvel and DC and Harris Comics with Vampirella, they take the baton and continue it, because like I don't know how common knowledge this is, but Vampirella I don't think she started off as like a character primarily to follow in the comics. I think she was just the horror narrator of various horror short stories.
Like not a character to carry her own book, but just to like curate stories. Yeah.
That's what we call foreshadowing.
Yeah. And here's Johnny Craig's Digger. But we'll cover this Steranko short story sometime in the future. It is amazing.
Beautiful short story, yeah.
We are here for Barry Windsor-Smith. So the first one we're going to look at is Tower of Shadows number 3, which I should say was not reprinted in this book, which I should say I highly recommend people buy this, even though it's missing one. I guess I should say that like they do bring it up in the opening to this. Right here it says, before we go any further, let us note that this is not quite the complete Tower of Shadows. More unfortunately, 2 stories adapted from the works of H.P. Lovecraft, The Terrible Old Man in issue 3 and Pickman's Model in issue 9, had to be cut at the last minute due to legal questions. So this story we're going to look at from Tower of Shadows number 3 was not reprinted in that hardcover because it is it's based off an H.P. Lovecraft story. Have you guys read much H.P. Lovecraft?
I've read some, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading manga adaptations by Guo Tanabe. There's 2 short story books that he's adapted, and also what is it called? Tower of the Mountain of Madness? No, like
the Mountains of Madness.
The Mountains of Madness. Excuse me. Yeah, like they're so good. They're so good, and they are terrifying. They stay with you for a couple days after you've read them, and that's the thing about the horror genre. I think why horror was so popular in the 70s, 60s, and 70s is because like when you read these stories, they did stick with you because there was no such thing as these big budget CGI movies that we have now. It was more so left to your imagination. And I think that's why Lovecraft was so successful back then, was because when he said things like, imagine that existence itself is just a flicker in this vast void of darkness. It's like, have you ever imagined that? I think there was a line where he's like, he asked the question, have you ever imagined that? I'm like, well, now I have.
Now I'm going to be thinking about it all day. Actually, that's a great point to bring up. It's almost, it's kind of like it fills the space that noir in the war and post-war era does, where it's just like, what are we even doing here?
Yeah.
Just contemplating the pointlessness of existence.
And I guess you guys weren't familiar with the original story at all, were you? Or
yeah, I looked up some stuff after reading this because I was like, what is going on here? What is the point of this? And the point of it is old-timey racism.
Quite so, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It is a very, very racist white guy who is so racist that he is against other whites, like ethnic whites, the kinds that show up with CZ starting their names. He hates them, absolutely hates them. Apparently this whole short story is about like letting those goddamn Eastern Europeans in.
Yeah.
I guess we should make clear that none of what you just described is in this.
No, that's what's weird about it, is that it doesn't state it directly because it doesn't mean anything to us, or even probably 1969 or whenever this came out. But that was the original intent of this story, was to be like, you see them with their CZs pronounced ch, can't trust them.
Oh man.
Really like like weird imagery of like he's talking to these jars that have little rings of lead hanging
Yeah.
inside them, and like his yellow eyes and stuff like that is like it was just overall it was nonsensical. I mean, I followed along, but it was
Yeah,
overall nonsensical. Why would you talk to
nonsensical.
jars? You know,
Yeah,
jars with little rings hanging inside them.
there's no rhyme or reason to any of the stuff that
Yeah,
anybody sees.
yeah.
I don't know how long that Lovecraft story was, but we've only got like 6 pages of a comic that has to show off visuals and I guess it didn't impart that much information.
I was
This
expecting like a flash of Cthulhu or some bullshit there to
Yeah,
explain that, like, well,
yeah.
yeah, these are secret communicators with the great old ones or something. It's like, no,
Yeah.
it's nothing. There's nothing there.
To be honest, anytime I read any Lovecraft story, I always expect some kind of connection to Cthulhu, and I'm so disappointed when there isn't. You know,
Yeah, me
something
too.
else.
Yeah,
Weird.
yeah,
so I should say that all of these short stories have different inkers, which makes them interesting to look at. So this was written by Roy Thomas and Howard Phillips Lovecraft. Is that his real name?
yeah. Howard Phillips. Yeah,
Howard Phillips
Howard
Lovecraft.
Phillips Lovecraft. Yeah, because that's that old, like, that's a ivory white British name.
So obviously drawn by Barry Windsor-Smith and inked by John Veerporten and Dan Adkins. Interesting that there were 2 inkers listed on just 6 pages. I can't tell the difference, but like who what pages were
Yeah,
John
I was
Veerporten
gonna
and what
say
were
I couldn't tell the difference myself, but I will say like right away, anytime around this era when he was inked by someone else, the work like if you take if you
it
go back to
transforms the
Digger's,
work. Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah,
transforms the work into more of like I don't want to say Marvel style, but like a so-called quotations professional style. Like if you go back to page 1, look at the pants on Digger, like how they're just lushly like all the wrinkles are lushly inked there, especially in the underleg there.
Yeah,
Um,
I
I like
do
the
see what you
folds and
mean,
stuff.
but I mean at the same time, like I think this work is very interesting to look at. Like these faces, if I were to compare it to like the other stories in here, there's something a little off with these figures.
Yeah,
Um, and it seems like he's leaning more into style than into technicals. I do think like all these stories are like technically superior, like the foundation skills are more evident,
mm,
but they're not as interesting to look at, I find. And I think that's like a through line with all this stuff. And again, like all these artists are great, they're like technically proficient, but I think the weirdness and what is off with these faces and the storytelling especially is it just makes the work more interesting. And I mean it's doubly interesting because I think like Barry Windsor-Smith in the 80s was like probably, I mean is it safe to say in the 80s he was like one of the most technically impressive artists out of that era? And but
oh, of
yeah,
course.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and he was also able to make it visually stylistically interesting. Wow, so he was able to do that balance of both, right?
yeah.
So but I mean, yeah, like again, like you look at this stuff and it's just like technically proficient but also stylized. So this I think is like leaning more into style than technicals, and yeah,
yeah.
again, I just find it interesting because of that.
Whereabouts does this fall in the timeline of him breaking out of that? Which, go check out our other Barry Windsor Smith episodes, because there are like distinct phases of his work, but we've also seen the the transitions occur. Is this kind of in the Kirby Steranko era? Just
I
before
would say
Conan?
so, but he's like breaking out of it because the his
Yeah.
first published work was February 1969 with X-Men 53, and that's the cover date, February 1969. And then this comic is cover dated what is it, January 1970. So this is like a year into his comics career, pretty much. And it was interesting because how much Kirby do you see in this?
None at all. If
Yeah.
there's anybody he might be pulling from, it's at first I thought it's kind of there's a bit of a Gene Colan feel, but it's still not like it's not
Which is
Colan.
interesting because
It's just kind of like it's like that
Gene
atmosphere.
Colan.
I know, yeah, which may have primed me to think of it, but it feels like he's trying to go for the atmosphericness that Colan got in his Doctor Strange work.
A lot of the straight on face shots, I can still see the Kirby.
A little bit in the nose. I see that too.
But outside of that,
it's very subtle.
He's kind of he's veering off from Kirby a little bit, especially compositionally.
Compositionally, yeah, because he is varying.
Oh yeah.
Camera angles, and he's stacking things interesting in a much more interesting way.
Yeah, I do see a bit of Steranko here in this face. So
yeah,
but for the most part, it's like a year into his comic career, he's like really coming into his own. And by the end of this episode, we'll see him transform into his early Conan style. Even right here. So part of his Conan style is he had these big lips, especially like a big pouty bottom lip, which we see a bit here. so it's getting there. He's coming into his own sort of vision of things.
Yeah, finding what he's about.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like just doing the work, you slowly find your own vision, your own personality in the work, and it's just Barry Windsor-Smith is just I think he's a prodigy, and he's just faster at it than everybody else. Yeah, I love. Yeah, I mean the storytelling and all this stuff is so good, so thoughtful. I'll be honest, like I think in most of these Chamber of Darkness and Tower of Shadows shorts that other artists do, like all great artists, but there's not a huge difference between how they tell a story in a superhero way and how they tell a story in a horror way. But you can tell here that Barry Windsor-Smith is thinking this is a horror story, and so he needs to alter the storytelling to create that specific mood, and that's specifically highlighted in this sequence here, where
I was gonna say, yeah,
it's like a camera pull out, and then the like, how would you describe this? Like the windows sort of like take over the frame, and then as a result, the sentence has to be fragmented into 3 panels, and it's just so effective.
I was even thinking actually in the panels at the top there is this kind of coolness to everything that in horror movies a lot of the time, a lot of horror depictions, you don't see a lot of daylight, but at this end there's this feel of like the sun has come up and things are okay, except, and then you get to the camera pull out, and it's like, except this terrible old man is still here, lurking. Who knows who his next victim is? Yeah.
In talking to the art, my last takeaway would be that last panel. I don't know if it would work today, but I would have preferred if those purple slits were blacked out. I think that would have worked better than these purple little.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just a feature of like the printing technology. Like,
yeah, I think I would chalk it up to something like that. I think it's just jarring to see it all purple like that when he goes from like these 2 middle blackish panels to like purple.
Yeah,
it took me out a little bit.
Well, I think it just it shows a deliberate scene change. Like it's a transition away from the scene entirely. I think that was very deliberate. I wouldn't chalk that up to printing. Yeah, I mean, strangely, I think it works because it's sort of like the background is ever changing, and then we're gone, we're out of it. It's just we're focused on the frames. It's like this is going to continue going on forever and ever. So we're away from the scene.
I mean, speaking today, I've personally been spoiled by Monsters, his last masterpiece, which is all just strictly black and white. And so when I see stuff like this now, looking at his earlier work, I'm like, just black it out, just
Yeah.
black it out.
And what's interesting about Monsters, which is his magnum opus and his most recent work, is
Magnum opus is the word.
yeah, everything is within panel borders, and he's very strict about the grid throughout a lot of this, and I think the page design isn't all that experimental. You get a little bit of stuff like this, obviously, but for most of the book, it's just telling the story straight up. I think he wasn't so into experimental page design because to some extent, like, experimental page design calls attention to itself and has the potential of taking you out of the story. And I suspect that that was one of his concerns. Like, he just wanted you to get lost in the story. But I do want to point out this letter here, because this is interesting. We're 3 issues in, and this reader who wrote in is not a fan of Digger. He's saying the character comes in at the end of every story and just kills like a carefully constructed mood.
Takes you out.
Yeah. So Stan's reply, I think it is Stan Lee writing this, but I'm not sure. The editor reply is the most successful comic stories ever published of the macabre route have had such narrators. And he says, all such mags out of the newsstand today, in whatever form, have taken the idea from the long-dead EC Comics group of the 50s. So he's standing by Digger, at least for now, but I think a lot more mail comes in over time. And to be continued. I'll get back to
caves.
that. Next up would be in November 1969. So this is, a month later. In Chamber of Darkness number 4. I should say Chamber of Darkness, the
Number
narrator is Headstone P. Gravely, which this is the Barry Windsor-Smith story, but where is Headstone? This is Headstone P. Gravely.
Headstone P. That's almost like the Black Dynamite of horror hosts. Like it's so much of a parody of itself, it becomes the platonic distillation of itself. It's just so
just ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're looking at number 3, right?
Yeah. So Chamber of Darkness number 3, and Barry Smith, as he's credited at the time, doesn't draw Headstone P. Gravely. He just goes right into the story. So this was written by Jerry Conway, and Sid Shore is the inker, which, as Colin explained, we skipped the episode, which we will get to in the future. But the first time Sid Shore inked Barry Windsor-Smith was with this Avengers comic. And I should say I looked up Sid Shore, and I think he'd been inking since like the 1940s. Like, I think he took over from Captain America comics after Kirby and Simon and Kirby were kicked to the curb. And so it was somebody in Sid Shore inking. And sadly, Sid Shore passed away about 4 years after this comic came out, at the age of like 56 or 57 in 1973. So died way too young.
He was also the, according to Gene Colan, at one point he was the head man in the art department of Marvel Comics.
Oh, the head man. Interesting.
Yeah, that's what Gene describes him as in a 1999 interview. So but I mean, we know that, especially in the very early days of Marvel, it's like everybody's doing everything. You got to get someone out on time. Head of production is getting out that quill.
Yeah, it was like a skeleton crew in the early 60s, right?
Yeah, it's Stan, Flo, Jack, and Saul.
I was going to say, so specifically talking to like his work, we're going to look at work where he inked himself, and I do gravitate more towards when he inks himself. But I think Sid Shore's inking him in this story, specifically page 2, panel 1 and 2. You can see like those are two beautifully put
That's what
together
I was thinking too, man. Yeah.
face, and panel 2, like just him clinging to the tree and the texture of the tree and the drapery and everything, and along with all like the crazy stuff happening in the background. Sid Shores was definitely my favorite inker, other than
Yeah,
Barry
it's
Windsor.
stunning work.
Yeah,
Although I don't see a lot of Barry Windsor-Smith in this. Like I do see this pouty lip, but what I mean, do you guys see a lot of Barry? I don't know. If I handed you this comic and said, "Guess who drew this?"
no,
Oh no.
then I wouldn't be able to tell. Definitely, I wouldn't be able to tell.
That's not a Barry Windsor-Smith face at all.
No, but it's
No,
still just
but
fantastically realized.
no, but
It's beautiful, yeah, no doubt.
I do think there is like it does feel like Sid Shores is pulling something out that I think it's going to become more prevalent in his work, like the panels that Colin brought up, like the feathering, the fine detail feathering. Like I feel like that comes out a lot in his Conan stuff. Yeah? No?
Yeah. Well, that face specifically, like I run into this in my work a lot too, is like the feathering around his cheekbones and around his chin. Like I'll leave that stuff out and it just feels empty and I don't know what to do. And then I'll see something like this. I'm like, I should have done that. Like,
Yeah.
I always have this regret, but there's a lot of times where there'll be big open spaces in my art and it just feels overall empty. And I don't understand why. I'm like, everything's to my standard, competently drawn in terms of anatomy and all that kind of stuff, but it just feels empty. And then I see something like this where there's just like these very light strokes that are just underneath these more so black realized, like dark realized spaces that really bring everything out. You see a
Yeah.
lot in Barry Wrightson's work too.
Yeah.
Bernie Wrightson.
Bernie Wrightson, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean it is overall beautiful work.
But you're right. Like when it comes to say the anatomy or I don't know. It occurs to me as we go through these that this is kind of the optimal way for a young artist to kind of grind through what they want to become because he's got 6 pages. Just get it done. This is on a schedule. We're just trying to get these out before anybody changes the rules that says that we can't. We've jumped on a bandwagon. So this is kind of a playground for him to start experimenting with new stuff, whether it's feathering techniques or camera angles or anatomy or shot composition. Like he can just use this as a test bed for what he's trying to get at. And because of the turnover, he can kind of burn through a lot of stuff quickly.
Yeah, and actually I just want to call attention to this. Item. Remember Bashful Barry Smith? Well, he finally sent us a job we've been breathlessly awaiting all the way from Merry, England. And then it's just promoting the last comic we looked at, Tower of Shadows 3. So I'm just going to speculate here, but he was living in New York for that first year.
Mm-hmm.
And we know the story about that Nick Fury issue, Nick Fury 12, where I guess the inker came in and fixed a lot of the art. And Barry Windsor-Smith was in town and saw that happen and overnight went and fixed everything, like got rid of all the fixes and like made it more himself. So if I were to speculate here, he's sending pages from England and the inker gets to do whatever and then he just sees the printed comic.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I would be interesting to hear what his thoughts of this comic was, like if he was annoyed at at all these inkers that we're going to look at today fixing his stuff, or if he was happy with it. Maybe he had a change of heart in the year since Nick Fury number 12 and appreciated what the inkers were doing, or maybe he was annoyed. We just don't know. But it is
Mr.
interesting.
Smith.
We see these comics that don't look very Barry Windsor-Smith, and that could be part of it.
Mr. Smith, if you're watching, and we know you are, let us know. We'd love to have you on the show.
Oh, please, if you are watching, come on the show.
Yeah, we're doing this chronology because we are super fans, and we just
Super
want to
fans.
put it under the
Super
microscope
fans.
and just like see a chronology and watch the growth. So, yeah, I just hope that like, I mean, we're just like talking. We're just like, you know, the stream of consciousness. I hope we're not insulting in any way.
Every time I hear his name, I just stop everything. I just like, what? Who, talking about
Tell
Barry
me more.
Smith?
Yeah.
You know, even in the
Say
comic
more.
shop, I'm like, you guys talking about Barry Windsor-Smith? What are you guys talking about? I just need to hear his name. I stop everything and I just gravitate towards whatever's happening there.
Yeah, you got to find out.
Yeah.
So I do want to say that we talked a bit about the inking, but like something that you cannot take away, something that like the inker has not as much to do with is the storytelling. We can look at the storytelling and the storytelling choices throughout all these comics, and I think there's always interesting choices made on almost every page.
Mm-hmm.
Like right here we get a rectangular panel, but it's within like a skewed border, and that's very intentional.
Yeah.
On this page, no gutter space. Like all panels are jutted up against each other, or we have like inset panels with no gutter space. And then you turn the page and the gutter space comes back. So he's just always playing.
Another thing is, if you go back one page, like the one without, like all the borders are butting up against each other. Like even the pupil of her eye there in the bottom right corner.
Yeah.
This is a horror story, and stuff like that is quite jarring, and it like unsettles you a little bit as you're reading it, right? So you can use things like that, even though maybe nothing's happening on the page. Maybe it's a talking heads page, but you just do little things like that just to set the reader off a little bit, just to put them off kilter a little bit, and just that.
Well, I mean, those eyes are speaking volumes. Like
Exactly.
compared to her eyes right there, it's that's a deliberate choice for the sake of acting and for storytelling, just to communicate something very specific. Like she's shocked. The more white of the eyes you see, the more shocked, I suppose, the character is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this, I'll be honest. A lot of these stories, like,
they're not the best. This one is, if anything, is like the transcription of a Hawkwind song. Like it's just kind of like basic heavy metal bullshit. The warlock tree, pull the sword. Come to me.
I and that's another thing. That's another thing I should point out is that Barry Windsor-Smith says of this time that he basically co-wrote all of these stories, but he just didn't get the credit because and he was a 19 or 20-year-old and he just thought
so many creators didn't get the credit.
That's just the way. And I did want to point out that this takes place in England, and this has like I don't know, an English folk tale quality about it.
Yeah.
And so do you guys know, is Jerry Conway's not English, right? So if I were to speculate, the kernel of the story probably came from Barry Windsor-Smith. And yet it says Gerard Conway writer and Barry Smith artist. So
Jerry Conway is born in New York City. You could not be less British.
Yeah, so it's very likely that the story originated with Barry Windsor-Smith.
Yeah, there's that part where she's just like, "Oh, Todd," or whatever the hell his name is. "You're an American. You don't have any history. Here in England, it's rich,
right, yeah.
Rich with cultural meaning." The warlock.
I mean, it's kind of ridiculous that this sword has been sitting in this tree for what, centuries, and nobody's pulled it out.
Yeah, but Brits got swords lying around in things all the time. That's like a basic of their stories.
Yeah, I mean, it is the Sword of the Stone is very it is kind of ridiculous that the story basically comes down to the power of love. Like literally,
Hell yeah.
it's the power of love. Like there's
Yeah.
no subtlety to this at all. Like we know it comes down to the power of love because the characters tell us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's but the
these
thing
are
is,
boy comics, right?
well, they're boy comics, but they're also like that are made by stressed out old men too. Like
yeah.
they're under the gun of production. They've jumped on this bandwagon. They're just trying to make money, right? They got to that's kind of the interesting thing that we're seeing, right? Is the development of these a lot of these early guys. They're like, "Oh, I don't care about comics. I just want to draw for a living." Right? We see that in the John Buscema episode with Silver Surfer. He was not too interested in it. But we also get Barry Windsor-Smith, who's like, no, I'm here to draw comics. I'm here to use this medium to tell stories that mean something to me and the audience.
I mean, he was a Kirby fanatic, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, if you're a Kirby fanatic, you love the medium of comics. Like you're not into like syndicate strips or.
I mean, it's
between that, right?
Taylor, you bringing that up though. If you take John Buscema and Barry Windsor-Smith, John Buscema wanted to be an artist. He wanted to be like a painter, like a fully realized painter.
Yeah.
And he ended up in comics. Whereas Barry Windsor-Smith wanted to be a comic artist, and he ended up being a fully realized artist. Like the work that he's done later in his career, it can't be beat. It's fully he's a master of everything. You know, there's that saying, you know, jack of all trades, master of none. No, fuck that. With Barry Windsor-Smith, mastered everything.
Well, everything to do with comics, right? Writing, inking, lettering. Like
I think he won even, right?
Yeah.
If you look at his Opus books, you've got one of his Opus books, right? Like,
oh, definitely, yeah.
Like, come on, have one of those. Like, it's remember who's the producer? Who's Peter Jackson's producer? What's her name?
Philippa Boynton.
Yeah, remember when they came out with King Kong? She said aspiring filmmakers, as soon as they watch King Kong, they're just gonna fucking give up. Of whenever I read like Opus by Barry Windsor-Smith, and he came out with that in the 90s, right? I'm like, yeah, keep the game on hard mode.
So we're seeing,
what are you gonna do now? And then he comes out with monsters. Like,
this is Barry Windsor-Smith in 1973, right there.
Like a weird push-pull between the real concerns of the business side of making comics, and then the guys that you need to move this medium forward.
That's one of my most favorite things that he's ever done.
This one.
That one right there.
That's real good, yeah.
There's that one single painting is everything to me.
What's that called?
Yeah. What page is this? This is 134. And so we have 134, The Head of the Baptist. So it's a 1978 pen and ink watercolor gouache. And he says of it, there was a life-size version of this design, but I'll be damned if I can find it. It's not easy to misplace a 6-foot painting, but if anybody can do it, it's got to be me.
Yeah.
Interesting. We have a dryad, which is some more foreshadowing. 144. Let's look at a dryad.
A spirit that lives in the forest, wood nymph, fairy, for the Greek of all nature.
Later on.
Yeah. But what else? Is there anything else to say about this story?
The next one is the demon that consumed Hollywood, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, so next up we have Tower of Shadows number 5.
The demon that devoured Hollywood.
This feels like the most 1957 Marvel story I've ever written. I've ever read.
Yeah.
Also of a Twilight Zone episode. That's the kind of vibe that I got from it too.
It's definitely shooting for that.
Okay, I just briefly want to say that Marie Severin drew this cover, which she did a lot of these covers.
Hell yeah, she did.
She was like an unsung hero
And an
of Marvel.
artist. She's an artist herself as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She could do it all.
Yeah, the guy's coming into the office just fawning over the whatever she's doodling.
Yeah.
As the story goes.
Yeah, I think she did like most of the covers in the late 60s and early 70s.
Yeah.
So yeah, she was just doing a lot of memorable work around that time. But yeah, we open up with Barry Smith narrating. And where's Digger? What happened? Should we go to the
Tell us, Stan, do you still like Digger?
So yeah, somebody basically says here, congratulations on your new horror comic. Only one thing mars my joy, though: the use of those idiotic narrators, Headstone P. Gravely and Digger.
I wouldn't be surprised if Stan himself wrote the narration of the narrators for these.
Yeah, that's there's a real good chance. Yeah. He at least like drops in every now and then. Like, you gotta need a host.
There's gonna be some puns because he was all about like puns and stuff. But
he sure was.
Yeah, I think if this is Stan who wrote this, he replies, also by now it should be clear what the verdict of Marveldom assembled was on Gravely and Digger. And also what our reaction was. Aren't you glad we're so easy to get along with? So they just got rid of them. Yeah. By issue 5, gone. And now we get the artists to. This is interesting. Like, it's not Roy Thomas narrating; it's Barry Windsor-Smith. And then in this one, we get Wally Wood introducing this story. So that was a very cool idea. Yeah, for some reason, I would be intrigued to find out why that decision was made, but it's very cool. And did Roy Thomas write this dialogue, which is coming out of Barry Windsor-Smith's mouth?
What say you buy a ticket and come along with old Barry, eh? Is that... I could kind of hear that in a British accent, but...
Is there any British slang in this?
You're right, love.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, you thought this was like kind of a pre-Marvel Comic Universe kind of horror?
Just because it's so toothless, right? Because, Colin, I think you're right.
And
it's
predictable.
Trying to go
so predictable.
For a Twilight Zone thing. Because the Twilight Zone, like to this day, you can watch... There are a lot of episodes of the Twilight Zone that you can be like, that was solid. Yeah, that was really well done. Because Rod Serling didn't talk down to people, and he treated a lot of his audience like he approached the audience as adults. That's not what this is for. So they definitely want to capitalize on that, but it really has kind of the toothlessness of like Droom, the thing from another world.
Yeah.
Those kind of old monster comics about like, oh, the monster represents greed or whatever.
Yeah. Well, okay, to give the audience just overall context for this story, it's basically a movie actor who sells his soul to become a successful movie actor. And in this case, when the devil's messenger comes to collect his soul, he basically blows him off. He says it was a handshake deal. I didn't sign anything, so get lost. And he becomes a successful actor for monster films. And the makeup of, like, towards the end of the story, the monster that he's portraying in this film, the makeup, all the prosthetics and everything actually becomes his skin because he does not actually deliver on the deal. And the first page is kind of like foreshadowing that he becomes a monster himself and he becomes an outcast in society. And overall, the story, like, this is probably like a lot of these, pretty much all of these stories are pretty hokey, but this story was actually one of the ones where I was like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Like it
does have a message.
Exactly. This one actually is more so a Twilight Zone story, like episode than anything else.
Yeah, it has something to say, but
the only thing I knew exactly how it was going to end by page
Come on,
3, right?
What's really strange,
the stories you know how they're gonna end, right?
what's really
Yeah, I
strange is
mean,
though that it seems to operate in a world where if you're portraying a monster in a movie, you personally have to do your own
yeah.
prosthetic. Like
Yeah.
Stan Winston is not on the set of American Werewolf in London portraying the werewolf, right? It's
Yeah,
what a conceit,
this has got to be Doug Jones' worst nightmare. Yeah.
right? Okay, so just it's if anybody could help me, it's really tough to get the back. I can do it, but we're going to be off schedule. Yeah, just walking around with half the Fishman's face on.
Yeah, shit.
Did I mention Roy Thomas writer, Dan Adkins embellisher? So what's interesting there is that it doesn't say inker, it says embellisher, and that usually means there's a heavier hand being done. Like it's probably just like Barry Windsor-Smith handed like roughs or definitely not tight pencils.
Whatever the case may be, I can definitely
Yeah.
see it in this one, especially in the faces.
Well, I mean, this still looks like Barry Windsor-Smith faces here
Well,
of this
page
time.
2, the bottom middle panel, that Professor X looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Like
doesn't.
he looks. It's not a Barry face. even
No,
though
there's
Barry's
like a
probably,
weird
you know.
softness to everything that.
Yeah.
I will say one thing though. Like that face does look like Barry Windsor-Smith face of this time, especially that lip there. That's getting into that Conan, like early Conan style, where he's got like big lips. But this was it. Yeah, this face right here, I get real.
Yeah, that I was
like
gonna.
Oh,
Weapon
yeah.
X.
Yeah,
Like, does that not remind you of this like Wolverine face here?
Oh, yeah.
Just that nose. So that's interesting because it's sort of like a look at where he's going in 20 years.
I was gonna say Conan, but yeah, Wolverine too.
I was thinking Conan as well, but yeah, now that you put Weapon X, it's clear.
Well, he wasn't
There's
drawing
like
like noses like this back then, and I don't know. It just kind of looks. Yeah, I just got that vibe from that. Even though like, there's not a lot of Barry Windsor-Smith in this. But again, the storytelling for this time is all over this.
Yeah,
the playful qualities, and like even stuff like this. Like it does feel like with every short, he's adding a new sort of superhero special effect to his arsenal. Like you remember from the X-Men number 53, his first published work, like every page had Kirby Crackle on it.
Yeah, yeah.
And now we've reached a point where we can go through all these shorts and we've got like different forms of speed lines like this, and we've got different like magical effects like in this previous one, like that's a different sort of effect for magic. So
that is true.
He's just growing and adding to his arsenal with like like crazy effects here and there.
Yeah. He's got
Every
speed lines, impact lines, expression lines, exclamation lines when someone's yelling. There'll be like speed lines coming up, or just framing their head like a halo.
Yeah, it's almost like a spider sense thing. But you're right. Yeah. That's a great term for them. Exclamation lines. Yeah,
it is cool seeing the tremendous growth and just like the constant learning and playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did find it weird. Like this was the last panel. Did you guys have to like do a, like turn the page and think there was more, and then?
Yeah. So
get a little
thing about that
confused.
is because there was either a the end or to be continued or whatever. Like okay, that's it for the story. But like for this one too, I turned the page expecting more. But
no, it's a new story.
It's a brand new story, exactly. And these stories were published with Jack Kirby and Wally Wood also featured in these books. And for 1920, like imagine Eric or Taylor, you're 19, you're 20 years old, and you just got a short story in a book that's you're sandwiched between Jack Kirby and Wally Wood. Are you losing your shit?
Yeah, and
Because I mean, here's
yeah,
what
I
I'll say.
wouldn't feel
I'll
anything.
say that Jack Kirby did not read even half the stuff that he put out, did he?
No.
Like as soon as it hit the printers, he was done with it, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that would give you a little bit of solace knowing that you were in a book with Kirby, knowing that Kirby's probably not even going to look at it ever again.
Well, yeah. I mean, if
Like,
you're
hallelujah.
yeah.
Well, and then there
I'm
were
right
stories
next
of
to him.
his assistants reading it and telling him, "Do you know what Vinnie Coletta is doing to your art?"
Right.
I drew 8 pages in the time it took for you to ask me that question. Of course I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up we have Chamber of Darkness #4, and I don't have the actual issue to this, but it was reprinted in Conan #16 and Conan Saga #6. So I have a black and white version and a color version of what ended up in Chamber of Darkness #4, and that came out in April 1970, even though it was reprinted years later. And this story is very interesting because
What
it
a
preceded Conan
waste.
by about, I guess, Conan the Barbarian #1 came out cover date October 1970, and this came out April 1970.
Okay, so it's what, 6 months? Yeah, 6 months.
And so this is a prototype Conan the Barbarian story, but it's not Conan.
No, it's not. It decidedly isn't.
No,
This
but
is a real
100% Conan.
Star the Slayer.
this is a real waste of a concept if I ever saw one.
And in what way?
Well, I mean, on the one hand, we get the proto Conan, right? So we get to see where he's going with it. But the idea that the story idea that your creation comes out of its medium to interact with you so that you don't stop making its stories, like, that's a great idea. That sounds like Grant Morrison kicked open a door high on acid and peyote and just screamed this concept at you, right? It's Conan, but he leaves the book.
Yeah.
But then it's just kind of not delivered on, right? Like, it's just...
You get the writer there, yeah.
Yeah, and it's, it's just kind of... Well, what'd you call it, Colin? I'm going to turn Conan into Animal Man?
Right. Like,
Yeah.
break the wall.
Yeah, but it's not done. Like, it's just kind of... It's the barest gesture to that concept, too.
Yeah. So... Star the Destroyer was not an Howard creation, was he? It was a
No, it's new to this. It's a concept that they actually try
Marvel
to...
Comics owns it.
Yeah,
Right.
they bring back
So-
twice, 2 more times.
Really? What is
Yeah.
it? What do they bring it back in?
The new Warren Ellis brings him back in New Universal, and then there's a Max series by Daniel Way and Richard Corbin in September
I
2009.
remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, interesting.
Series.
Yeah, so it's clearly an idea that they like, but don't quite know what to do with.
I suspect it wasn't that they liked the series. It's that this story became infamous as sort of like the prelude to Conan, sort of, because it's Roy Thomas and Barry Smith doing a sword and sorcery character with these horns on his helmet, and like in Conan #1,
Yeah,
he's
6 months later, it's the same design, right?
The character
yeah.
is 90% the same. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, down
Because-
to, like, he's just wearing briefs and a helmet.
And Conan Illustrated had never had these horns before, right? This is purely for this Barry Windsor-Smith Conan
Yeah, usually
comic,
he's
right?
got like those Betty Page bangs.
Yeah, and like this doesn't stick around past like several, like Buscema didn't
no,
have this helmet, right? So I suspect like this, the character of Star the Slayer was just sort of infamous. Like the reason I don't have the original comic is because it goes for like crazy amounts of money because it's seen as like a Conan the Barbarian like prelude.
Mm.
What's crazy money? Like $40?
Oh, good. Probably more than that.
Hmm.
But I'm not sure. Like I couldn't find it for a reasonable price. Which I'm most of these like Tower Shadows, Chamber of Darkness. Reader copies go for pretty cheap, around $10, I think. Now, I just wanted to show off on Heritage Auctions. We have 2 pages here. So we have here we have Chamber of Darkness number 4, page 2. So yeah, Conan prototype. It's basically sold as when they're selling the original art. I did find it interesting in this description. When it's describing the story concerns this fictitious character coming to life in the 1970s, intent on slaying his creator. A writer named Len Carson. A Lynn Carter reference, perhaps? Do you guys know who Lynn Carter is? Because I have no idea.
I know who Linda Carter is.
Yeah?
Linwood Vrooman Carter was an American author of science fiction and fantasy. He usually wrote as Lynn Carter. Known pseudonyms include H.P. Lovecraft and Grail Unwin.
Wow.
He's an editor of the Ballantine Adult Fantasy series. And then it looks like he has a longtime science fiction and fantasy fan. Carter first appeared in print with entertaining letters to startling stories and other pulps. And then he was mentored by L. Sprague de Camp, who was a big speculative fiction guy in kind of the golden age of that. And then pastiches of H.P. Lovecraft and Lord Dunsley. Like, it looks like he's kind of taking stuff from other writers and mishmashing them and doing pastiches. So
Okay,
that
possible?
would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense if that's what they're going for, if that's what they're trying to reference here.
So it's cool looking at this. It looks like he used I always say screen tone, but I think it's like how we say Kleenex, where the brand has taken over the so I think the actual name is Zipatone, and Screen Tones is a brand, unless I'm mistaken. But
I would have thought it goes
at any
way.
rate, this is Zipatone. And what do you guys think? You can see the Zipatone, the white under the white. So it looks like he had the Zipatone in, I suspect maybe it was like white paint.
Probably. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So that's cool. That's the thing is that he inked it himself, so he had more power to do stuff like this. If this was something he was only penciling, he wouldn't be able to pull this effect off because he'd have to be explaining his intent to the inker, and then he'd have to trust that the inker would do it. And so that's one of the benefits of someone inking their own stuff is they can do wild stuff like this.
Is the first page available? The original first page?
On Heritage Auctions, there's only page 2 and page 3.
Damn. Well, I was going to speak to page 1. Now, this is him inking himself, and this is the Barry that I recognize from his early career. If you take, like, on page 1, the sorcerer at the very far background, how he's kind of shooting off all these energy blasts, and they're bouncing everywhere, creating that crazy effect.
Yeah, it's very cool.
He inked all that himself. Like the hatching there around, especially around the figure, all the speed lines coming off the figure, all the little light like ticks, like fireworks almost coming off the figure. Like that shit is hard to do. It is for me. I'm speaking for myself, but that shit is hard to do.
Well, and to make look this good, right?
Exactly. And then there's Zipatone for the cliff that he's standing on, and for the man dragon. Now this story is I won't say nonsensical, but like he goes from he's fighting a man dragon, and then the wizard reveals himself, and then he fights an even bigger man dragon. Like right? Like
Yeah.
that's like okay, now he's fighting. Oh wait, what? Now he's fighting a big Mandrake.
Wait, is he back? Yeah. It's what? Is that
So
the same guy? No, it's a
yeah,
new one.
but
Yeah.
the inking, especially in darkness, like just the energy effects around, like if you go to page 2 again, like whether it's the original or on the story, like that figure in the bottom right panel on page 2.
Yeah, that's
Again,
cool.
the fire and the energy around that figure that's encapsulating him in going to the black, it's really beautifully inked. And
Yeah.
the shadows on the forearm and on his tricep and everything, it's just like, oof.
And when he doesn't ink too, like the towards the bottom left corner of that panel, it's all blown out because he's so caught in that fire.
Yeah.
So this would be his first published work where he inked himself.
Hmm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because he didn't ink. Well, I mean, he sort of fixed the Nick Fury stuff, so it's debatable. The Nick Fury stuff, he like re-inked over the inker that fixed his stuff. X-Men he didn't ink. The Daredevil stuff, Avengers he didn't ink. So yeah, I believe this would be his first published inked work. And so yeah, I mean, speaking more once again about all the crazy effects that he's experimenting with and adding to his arsenal. Like you've got so many different sort of superhero, sort of like power effects going on here.
Yeah.
Like this, and then
Yeah.
you've got that cool effect there, and I mean, I love the lighting of this panel. I mean, and that's crazy.
Did he color himself?
That's the problem is they didn't start crediting colorists until like a couple of years after this, I think. So
the reason I'm going to bring that up is
I
because
don't know.
in the actually original printing, the Mandragon itself is printed pink, and it actually presents a lot better in that Conan reprint as stark red.
Sorry, you mean this creature?
Yes,
Um,
page 1 specifically, how he's like it's very just red. It presents more so pink in the original Chamber of Darkness printing.
okay, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, there's no credit for colorist. Sometimes you can find online, like sometimes people have discovered who the colorist is. Yeah, unknown. But so I will say that this is Conan number 16, where this was reprinted in, and they also reprinted the Frost Giant's Daughter, which was in like Savage Tales number 1 as a black and white story, and so this Frost Giant's Daughter story is colored here for the first time. So they might have changed the colors to this as well, but I'm not sure. Yeah, like they comment here that you get to see the Frost Giant's Daughter in color for the first time, but they don't really mention this story, interestingly enough. Yeah, so yeah, what else do you guys think of this story? Again, like so many effects going on here.
Yeah, you can see his transition to one of the things I've noticed about his Conan stuff is his noses. He kind of he has very thin, straight noses in Conan, and that's kind of where I noticed this showing up the very first time. He's also really there's a lot more, I don't know, bendiness to the comic overall. I'm not sure how to describe it. It's kind of more when he gets to the real world for no reason. But yeah, you get kind of more. Actually, I do have something to say later on, but I'm now seeing the
6 pages. How later do you want to go?
Well, okay, yeah. So just like it's when he gets there, and okay, yeah, it's yeah.
You when Star sees the
The
skyscrapers.
building, yeah, that feels
That's
like
a very cool effect.
Yeah,
but it feels like that's kind of a building straight out of his
Daredevil, the cover for Daredevil number 53, right?
yeah, bro. Also, just in terms of deadlines and whatnot, like resorting to geometric shapes for skyscrapers and stuff with the windows, just plain window patterns. Like
Yeah, it's a very cool effect here.
you can still do cool shit with that. Otomo did it all
Yeah.
the time, right?
Yeah.
So,
I like how
Otomo, one of the greats.
yeah. This is kind of new. I haven't seen this in any of his work prior to this, where it's one panel but it's cut, and it's like one image and then cut by the panel border.
Right.
Yeah. It's like he's kind of testing out this technique because I don't know that it really serves any purpose here.
Well, it's for the page design, and I mean it's also like he's reaching for the writing, and he's not quite like he's losing the battle, I guess. And, yeah, I don't know. It's
Well,
creating a fragmented kind of quality.
going back to Chris Botchelow's Shade the Changing Man run, he did these really uncomfortable cuts within, like, across a face or whatever the case may have been. I think that this spread at the lower half, those cuts, like the first and last panels, really don't need to be cut. It could have served, but to have that spread, that what do you call that?
It's like a fan out.
A fan out, exactly, a full fan out spread. Well, yeah, like it works better to have those first and second or last panels cut like that, right?
Well, now I'm wondering though. I wonder if, as you say, it's an uncomfortable cut. Maybe that is the point. He is getting like
trying to create discomfort.
Yeah, in the loss that is coming, or the fight that he's about to lose, the struggle that is in. Man, if that's what it is, Barry Windsor-Smith is putting a lot into this weird little comic.
Yeah, and I mean he's clearly doing this on purpose.
Yeah,
he's a thoughtful storyteller. I personally think I think I know how this could work better, and it's all in the dialogue, and it's taking a lesson from 1980s Frank Miller, like 2 decades after, or about maybe 15 years after this, which is there needs to be more of a staccato quality to the writing during an action scene, and there needs to be dialogue in every panel. So you need to have like just like a quick short sentence here, a quick short sentence here. Every panel has just a very quick short sentence, and the action would flow a lot better. And there would be a rhythm created between these broken up panels, because with no dialogue here, your eye just goes straight to this dialogue and just kind of it goes, well, I can ignore that and moves on to here.
Yeah,
if there was dialogue here and then here, it would just work a lot better. And also just too much dialogue during this fight. It just ruins the entire momentum.
I dreamed you up in that first corner panel. Yeah. Look at this paper as he's like, as the hand is on it. Yeah.
It is very cool that like even this is the city that we would frequently get cities that look like this in the Barry Windsor-Smith Conan the Barbarian comic.
Isn't there? What's the late stage one? The New Gods, or the Young Gods. It has the city of the Young Gods has a feel of that too. Like it gets more refined, but it's the same basic feel.
Right. Yeah. Which is just, I guess, I mean, you're describing a cosmic city, but yeah, you're right. There is some crossover between.
Yeah. There's like 2.5 decades in between these, but there's kind of, it's the start of his cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is interesting because we're pretty much into his Conan the Barbarian style by this point. Sort of his like almost Gorblammy style.
Yeah. Actually, I do want to point out that I love the use of having the sword stuck in the ground to create the feel of planes.
Yeah.
It doesn't really need to be there, but it is a good technique just to have
adds depth, right?
Yeah, just to have to make this whole thing feel a lot more expansive.
And it makes things just interesting. Again, when you're dealing with something like as boring as a talking head scene, just to throw something in the foreground or background, just to kind of put the reader like suck the reader in just a little bit, involve the reader in some way.
Yeah, yeah, make
Man,
them realize something.
I will say that this does look to me like he finally got his chance to ink his own work, and he just went for it. Like
Hell yeah.
he just wanted to show everything that he could do, and that when he's inking, it's just a better product because there's just so much zipatone use, like so
Yeah,
many different effects that he's creating all throughout. Like this entire
Mhm.
page alone has different lighting effects, and
yeah.
yeah, it's I mean, earlier you mentioned that Colin, that this is the only comic we're going to look at that. Oh no, there's another comic that he inked himself, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's obviously his best stuff is when he inks
This
himself, right?
served possibly as an audition for Conan in a way.
Yeah, I haven't seen what Roy Thomas has to say about, like, I don't know what the history behind this is.
I
I suppose
I
it was
did
an audition.
I stumbled across a John Buscema quote about this.
Oh, okay.
John Buscema on being Marvel's first choice Conan artist. I was quote. I was approached by Roy Thomas with the project to do Conan. He mailed a couple of the paperbacks to me, and I read them and loved them. I told Roy, "This is what I want, something that I can really sink my teeth into." At the time, Marvel was owned by Martin Goodman, and he felt that my rate was too high to take a gamble with on some kind of project. It wasn't a superhero or anything that had been done before. The closest thing to that would be Tarzan. Anyway, I had no confidence in spending too much money on the book, and that's where Barry Smith came in. He was cheap. I know what he got paid, and I'd be embarrassed to tell you how much it was because I'd be embarrassed for Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is he was a young gun, and he proved himself on Conan and made himself into a superstar
100%.
Yeah.
throughout that entire run.
So
You gotta take the low cut to propel yourself, right? Because
I
Yeah.
wouldn't. Yeah.
Everybody's got to prove themselves, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So next up, we have Tower of Shadows #7, and I don't have the original comic, but fortunately, it is published in this Tower of Shadows Lost Marvels #1. I highly recommend picking it up. Although I did check the Fantagraphics website, and it is sold out. So I think it was a pretty good seller, especially because of the price. It's a pretty good price for a comic. I think it's only like, for a hardcover like this, it's like under $40.
Yeah, $39.99.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, it's got like I didn't list all the great artists involved, but I mean, you've got like Jim Steranko, Neil Adams, John Buscema, Gene Colan, Wally Wood, Johnny Craig, Marie Severin, and of course Barry Windsor-Smith.
dang, I gotta
Which,
get that Gene the Dean Colan one then. Dang.
yeah, there's some great Gene Colan art in here, and Fantagraphics publishes this stuff correctly.
Yeah.
They take it from the original comics, so the colors end up turning out well. They don't look. I always remember when we looked at the digital coloring for a Daredevil comic, and I was looking at a gradient, and Taylor, you compared it to the German flag. It did not
Yeah.
look like a gradient; it looked like 3 different colors. So written by Alan Brodsky and drawn by Barry Smith and inked by the infamous Vince Colletta.
Yeah. Off the top, I'm gonna before you get into it. Off the top, for the splash page here, the sun with the clouds. The clouds actually are moving in. This is more of a horizon shot over top of an worm's eye view, and it works still, even though it's not correct. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, what do you mean by it's not correct?
It's not correct in that the clouds are moving across the sun in a way you would if you were standing on a horizon line.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Those
Oh, yeah,
clouds would all be flat bottomed with like billowy tops.
Yeah,
That's
clouds.
what it's doing, but now you're looking up. right?
Yeah.
So
There
those
shouldn't be
clouds,
that flat
that doesn't
bottom.
track.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a great way to start off a horror story, which is to have things feel wrong. And
Yeah, Eric.
I think no, you know what? I'm going to use an example from this Steranko. Like, this face is so wrong. Like the eye should not be coming down like that, but
I did
because it
say it
looks wrong,
works.
it's just absolutely horrifying.
I'm just pointing it
Oh,
out. I did.
oh no, yeah, and you're right. I'm explaining why it works.
Right.
Uh, when you do things kind of off kilter or incorrect like this, it does add kind of a horror vibe to it. It's unsettling. Things are wrong. Things feel wrong. So I'd imagine it looks great because it was entirely intentional.
Yeah.
But this is interesting. We have a Barry Smith quote, or is this a poem? So I wonder what the story behind that is.
What is this? What does this say? On a nightmare's breath, a black angel sings. A wind whispered death and carried the scream of things. What the hell?
Man,
Yeah,
I
so
just
it's
I just brought a curse on all of us and you, watcher, just by reading that.
oh no. Well, it is spooky season.
On a nightmare's breath. I gotta look this up. On a nightmare's breath.
Oh, I'd imagine he handed the pages in and also gave a poem. Like he probably originated this story. Again, like
Nothing comes up for this quote.
yeah, I mean it's probably because it's just a personal poem that he gave along with the pages, I'm sure.
Yeah, he submitted it to Hawkwind, and they decided, no, we're not going to do that.
Hawkwind.
Just like the quintessential British soft metal band, you know? Kind of psychedelic, but also the scream of things.
And what was their height? What was the height of their
Probably
success?
when they had Lemmy from Motorhead in the band for a bit. It's like 1971-ish times, yeah. So it's around this time.
I mean, Barry Smith at the time looked like a rock star, so
Yeah.
he had that great long hair, like a damn hippie, right?
yeah.
Vince Coletta. When I see this arm right here, I just think of like his work with Kirby on Thor, which I'll be honest, like I'm an apologist for his Thor work. Like, yes, it is bad that he deleted work.
Yes, it is.
Unforgivable.
Yeah.
He for anyone who doesn't know, Vince Coletta, I guess his whole thing was meeting deadlines, and
Famous.
he could meet a deadline like nobody. Like you can hand him pages and he will promise he'll get it done with overnight or whatever. And how he got it done was he just chose not to ink certain things, just deleted backgrounds.
Chose not to ink
And
the
figures.
king. Just erased.
Impertinent
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, like for example, there potentially were more buildings back here,
Yeah.
but probably not because that's a good use of negative space. But he would also simplify things like maybe these buildings were more complex, and then Coletta would just turn it into a grid. So again, unforgivable. But I read this Thor stuff and I just really like it. A lot of the Jack Kirby.
That's the power of Kirby.
This is one of the reasons. This is
Well,
one of the
okay.
reasons that you and I don't see eye to eye so much, even though we're.
Oh, so you don't like this work at all?
It's not that I don't like it. It's just that I know what was, and
and again, like I can disregard all that and look at these comics and say I really like this. I really like these inks. Most of the Kirby stuff around this time, he was working with inkers who were brush guys, but Vince Coletta was a pen guy. So it's interesting. You can buy Fantastic Four in the late '60s, mid to late '60s, and you can see Kirby working with someone who's working with an inker is using a brush, and then you can buy Thor that same month, and it's someone inking Kirby with a pen, and yeah, you can see it. Like again, I brought this up specifically because this arm on this Barry Windsor-Smith kind of reminds me a bit of how Coletta was inking these arms, and this kind of doesn't fully work. Like, it's kind of a Popeye arm situation, which I think Coletta had a very heavy hand here, so I think I blame Coletta for that being a little messy. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think of the inking on this?
It feels very Thor era Kirby. Like the face of the barkeep there. That feels
Definitely.
that's right out of Asgard. Yeah, like the faces just kind of have. I think you're right. It's a very heavy-handed. Whether he's picking up stuff from Kirby or what, but I was surprised, despite knowing that this is Vince Coletta, which you can hear my thoughts on in our Tomb of Dracula episode when we go over just a few pages inked by him. Because there's things that he's good for, hitting deadlines, and I think more simplistic artists. And so there's as well, you flashed to it. There's parts of it where I think Vince Coletta is perfectly acceptable for these more psychedelic.
Oh, this page is stunning, isn't it?
Yeah.
Son, A2 Taylor.
I'm right there with you in that his personality sounds like trash. I'll say it.
Oh yeah, a lot of stories. Yeah,
yeah. His personality he's got rancid vibes, but for this is the one time I have been like, this isn't bad. It's not great, but it's not bad.
And we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like this is a Barry Windsor-Smith story with great storytelling.
BWS.
This is my least favorite of all the short stories that we're looking at tonight.
Now, is that because of the art or because of the writing?
Both.
Or is it everything?
It's everything.
Okay, but the storytelling, the psychedelic stuff is stunning, isn't it?
It's new. I don't know about stunning, but it is new.
This is a story that stays with you for a couple days after, like in terms of horror, like the whole.
Well, then it was successful. If it stuck with you, that's what a horror story is supposed to do.
Where we discuss the art and craft of comics, right?
But this is a
prime directive here.
Speaking of the craft of a horror story comic, if it stuck with you, I think the writer will basically say, "Oh, that was my goal. It haunted you."
Okay. Don't listen. I don't. This story,
or is it? Did it stick with you because you're like, "Oh God, that was so terrible"?
Well, the story itself. I mean, come on. The story itself is kind of just like, I mean,
yeah. What can you get out of this? Yeah. It's like 7 pages.
Yeah, it goes nowhere for a long time.
Yeah,
and it's a short comic.
Yeah,
let's.
I think he's actually well suited for it because there's not really, especially towards the end, there's not really anything for him to erase, right? It is a very basic graphic style. It's huge chunks of space.
Plus, it's just talking heads, but the heads are floating in space. Like there's nothing for him to delete, right?
Well, for all we know, he deleted
this for him to
this woman's body
from the actual art, right?
Yeah. And it's the thing is, I can also see the very British influence of it. I don't know what it is about it, but especially the left-hand page there's something that's because it's psychedelic. Like the whole thing is kind of psychedelic, but it's not San Francisco hippies. It's, I don't know, getting high in Sherwood Forest hippies sort of thing, you know? Does that make sense? It's sort of it's the mod hippies.
Yeah, I don't know, like I just love this psychedelia so much, whatever you want to classify it as. I love this page so much. I mean, look at how much panel variety we have on this one page. We've got open panels. We've got like partly open panels. We've got like
do
Like this is
suspect that he
we got
erased
panel
that one.
borders, and then you think that Vince Coletta and his famous eraser? No, I don't know. Like he's got a reputation, but he didn't do that for every single job.
But see,
That
this
was
is
to
the
meet
problem
deadlines.
this is ultimately the problem with Vince Coletta as a creator, is that he
Yeah, you
does
just
bring
never
this
know.
baggage with it, right? Yeah, you don't really know. And I'd like to find out, and it's entirely possible that he doesn't, but
I just think it works though. I think like having you get discombobulated by how many different panels are going on here. Like what is this going on? Like we have the background panel suddenly broken up, and
yeah,
she's like
that's what feels very
above,
British to
she's
me.
like in front of it, and then we have the panels jutting together, and we have like this bit here, and then things just go wild where we get this like basically one image cut up. We have this going on here, yeah, and this it feels like Steranko was doing a bunch of this stuff around the time. uh Incredibly hard to pull off, but
I do
looks
want to
great.
I do want to say I do really like the use of cut panels on that page,
Yeah,
especially at the top. It is cutting kind of it's bifurcating the faces in a very interesting way by having them on an angle and still getting each eye in the separate
yeah,
panel. Yeah, I think it works a lot better than the previous one that we saw in the Starless Lair, and I think this goes to his continuing development. Right, he works on things, he tries something out. That didn't quite work the way I wanted. So how do I use this better?
yeah, yeah. So even then, like this,
This final page is
yeah, I mean,
it's very interestingly set
and
out.
it's interesting you brought up the clouds earlier, Colin, because this is like almost a continuation. Her hair kind of has that effect of the horizon, like clouds,
Hmm.
and that almost brings it full circle.
Well, the
Do you
other
think?
thing is so that cloud, so just above her face there, there's that one cloud cut. The cloud's cut from the top, and everything billows down.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it looks
So I mean,
great.
yeah. So everything's upside down essentially. Even like you could, even though her scream is from left to right. If you flip that upside down, it may even work better. Who knows? I mean,
I took it as also a actual cut, like it's a
Yeah, I mean it does look like that, and that's the thing is, although the Comics Code was loosening up, you still couldn't have like blood showing
no.
up. But they pull this up like he's got completely red hands, and you could argue that it's because of the psychedelia, or you could argue it's blood, but
yeah.
it's just very artfully done. Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to read
Yeah.
this comic much, but
Yeah,
like
the
I look at
story.
it, just look at it for days,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
beautiful.
Still, overall, my least favorite story of the bunch.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it just turns into it. It's a story that has a narrative and then devolves into just like psychedelic nonsense.
Yeah.
I do think we're seeing just how difficult a short story really
Oh yeah,
is. Just in any medium, the shorter there is, the less space there is, the less explanation you have. You just kind of have to keep going, and sometimes it works out, and other times it
Yeah.
really doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely not easy, and horror is notoriously hard in comics. So
Yes, horror
with
and
what,
comedy both very difficult.
yeah, based on the intent of comedy and the intent of horror, it's just it's hard to achieve that intent. It's hard to horrify somebody in a 6-page short, but yeah, I don't know. Although I honestly, I don't. It takes a lot to horrify me. I can be kind of a robot sometimes, I guess. But I wasn't horrified by any of this stuff. But
No, this
these
isn't
comics sure were
horrifying at
beautiful,
all.
right?
No, yeah, they look great because it's. I mean, it's a master just churning through the not the learning part, but definitely because the thing of okay, so people use the term masterpiece incorrectly. It's the worst professional job you have done. It is the piece that lets
Wait, what?
everybody. Yes,
Oh, then
masterpiece.
that means the word has changed over time.
It
So you're
certainly
talking
has.
about the original. version of masterpiece.
Yeah, we should be using the term magnum opus, right? Your great work. But masterpiece was initially the piece that you did to demonstrate that you are a master. Case in point, Michelangelo's, it's either like Faun or Bacchus or something like that. It's like, it's fine, but it's not the Pietà, right? The same with these, right? We're seeing him just kind of crank out these things to get to a place where he will be making his magnum opus.
I wouldn't say crank out. Like
no, not crank out, but
this page is not cranked out.
No, and he's putting a lot of thought into these things. I guess I just mean on the schedule that he has to put these things out. Yeah. Just the publishing schedule requires him to be working.
Yeah, definitely. It's a punishing schedule of comics. It is so much work, and
so make sure you pick up Assorted Crisis Events. The trade paperback is out now, so you can see the kind of work that Eric puts into each of those 30-page issues.
Yeah, every issue is every issue is exercised. More bang for your buck than your average comic.
If you were watching this for Spooky Season 2025, the issue 6 is coming out in November.
That it is. I'm excited to see that come out. So I should say that story came out September 1970, and then the Conan the Barbarian #1 came out a month later. So in a future episode, we're going to look at. I think we're going to break the Conan run in half, because he does quit with issue 15 and then has a change of heart and then comes back. Yeah. So we'll probably look at sorry?
Brash Barry feels bad and comes back.
That will be
not bashful, but brash Barry. But also we did plan for there was another horror short that he did, which came out in January of 1971, so several months later. And I don't have the original comic for it, but it is Vampirella #9. And
now,
very
actually,
cool.
Before you go into that, when you told us that we were going to be covering a Vampirella short story, I was so gung-ho to see Barry Windsor-Smith draw Vampirella. I never actually knew that he did Vampirella. And guess what? He still never has. Okay.
Yeah, he really has.
Eric tricked us. Okay.
I didn't. So as I said earlier, like the Vampirella magazine, I guess she had regular stories, but it wasn't intended to be a fully Vampirella story. She was a macabre narrator, as Stanley put it in that letter page. So in this, she was a narrator for a short story. And I should say I don't have the original comic, but like most of the pages are up on Heritage Auctions. So that's what we're going to look at.
I was ready. Okay. But just to give the audience some context, so before we get into it, so the story is essentially a boy who can talk to trees, to dryads. And
that sounds like a Rush song.
Well, look, we get Vampirella here, and we also get to see Vampirella here. So what are you talking about, Colin? Look, Barry Windsor-Smith Vampirella.
It's not enough.
But that's all we get.
Wow, that costume is doing way more work than any other artist would depict it as doing.
Yeah. There's a lot of actor's tape.
Yeah. It's just hanging on for grim death.
Okay, so
boy who loved trees.
Actually, so there's a description at the bottom here. Lots of Zipatone used. It's got a board area of 14 by 20. So on 11. Oh, I was gonna say on 11 by 17, but it's on bigger than 11 by 17 because the image is 14 by 20, but that means the paper is bigger than that.
Hey, actually, side note or side tangent. were artists working on 14 by 20 back in the day?
Some were.
Because I like Joe Kubert. So I'm still putting together a lot to do the whole Joe Kubert, Odyssey, and I have an artist edition of his tour work, and it's 14 by 20. And I've been reading his biography, and it also shows that he worked on 14 by 20 for a lot of his early career. So was that just a norm, or was it just him?
Well, I do know Kirby for a bit started working bigger.
Yeah, I think it looks like Jose Gonzalez, who did a lot of Vampirella stuff, also worked 14 by 20, 14 by 21. Um, and I think Gene Colan did that sometimes as well for Tomb of Dracula.
So you just had to be really good to work on 14 by 20?
I wonder if it actually has a lot to do with if there was a time where if you were a comic book artist, you were living in and around New York, so you physically dropped pages off. But as artists go further and further out, it just becomes easier to ship 11 by 17 rather than 14 by 20. But that's pure speculation on my part. It's the only thing I can think of, though, to indicate, to think of why the shift would be like, no, we're losing too many pages, or the damage isn't worth it, or something like that.
Right.
But hey, if anybody in the comments knows why there may have been a shift from 14 by 20 to 11 by 17, please let us know.
Okay, so yeah, let's get into this. I did want to point out that, like, okay, actually, I just did a Google search and found page 1, and I did want to point out that it says at the bottom here, art by Barry Smith, story by Gardner Fox and Barry Smith. So this is the first time that he gets a story credit, even though he's been heavily involved in the story in every Marvel comic prior to this. So maybe not a lot of justice at Marvel at the time, but at Harris Comics, it was Harris Comics, right? That produced
Harris
Vampirella?
Comics.
Yeah. At Harris Comics, I guess they're like, no, this story started with you. Of course, you're going to get a credit.
Yeah, or Warren. Wait, which one is
Warren? It's Warren. Yeah, Harris had Vampirella in the '90s. Warren did the magazines.
Okay, yeah,
you're right.
Because Harris and Warren both kind of come up for it, so it looks like one then the other. Yeah. I wonder if Warren, because Warren notably, if I'm remembering correctly, didn't pay that well, but really let you just like go nuts, like do whatever you got to do. There wasn't nearly as much oversight.
Yeah, that was the trade-off, right? Did EC have that reputation as well? I think they may have.
They may have, yeah. Which would explain why the Comic Code killed them.
Yeah, so it is cool seeing just how much work he's put the screen tone on, and he's applying like light via the screen tone, which is very cool.
Is he scratching that off, or is he whiting it out, do you think?
I would say scratch.
Yeah, in the other example, you could see the screen tone underneath.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe. However, I mean, well, we can see some ink. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe scratching it off and then inking over top here. But, yeah, hard to say. Can't say for certain. Yeah, it's so cool to see the remnants of the that were not cut off. This is what's cool about seeing the original art. And this is a pure Conan Barry Windsor-Smith face where the eyes are a little too close together and you have these big lips.
The nose is kind of short and pointy and straight.
And it's like purely him, because that's the thing. All these other previous episodes we've done on Barry Windsor-Smith, we're commenting on, do you see a bit of Kirby? I see a bit of Steranko. And to some extent, that's unfair because he is his own artist and he's bringing himself to the table. But like stylistically, by this point he has completely found his own vision, and nobody else draws a face at this point like Barry Windsor-Smith does.
Yeah.
And that's something I mentioned earlier in this episode, is like, yeah, you get a lot of artists working that are more accurate, more technically correct,
Yeah.
but they're not as interesting looking. Like, this is an interesting looking face. And everything that Barry Windsor-Smith does is guaranteed to be more interesting than the average comic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even if, because as we've seen, sometimes it doesn't quite work, but even then, man, I think as time goes, in our modern media ecosystem, we are seeing just the value of, boy, you know what? You went all the way for it, and it's all you, buddy. Like, sometimes it doesn't work, but goddamn, you tried. Versus, this is very well produced and kind of has absolutely no soul.
It's creating your own aesthetic and your own world. Like
yeah,
he's become Neo. He's become the one.
Yeah.
Because that's what I say. Like, Barry was, for me, if I really had to pick Deserted Island, what's the one thing? I'd take Monsters. I'd take Weapon X. Like, Barry Windsor-Smith to me is the one.
Hell yeah.
And even when it looks right, it looks wrong. It doesn't matter. That world that he's created, that's the aesthetic, that's the style that fits. And if it fits, it sits, right?
Just like a cat.
Yep.
So yeah, it's crazy to think that for like most of comics history, the reproduction was so bad. And if you think about it, it's only been the last like 20 years or so that artists could like count on like truly accurate reproduction of their original art.
Yeah.
And right here we see a gradient, and I did find on this blog, somebody posted an image, and that gradient just goes all black.
Whoa. Yeah.
It's supposed to look like this. So that's how it was reproduced, it looks like, in the original magazine. And yeah, it's unfortunate. But I mean, now via heritage auctions, because somebody bought the original art, somebody sold it, we get to see what it was supposed to be.
And that sucks, because one of the things about the magazine reproductions too was that they don't have color, but the glossy paper and print style was supposed to be that you get this higher quality of art.
Oh, I don't know. Right? I don't think it was glossy paper. I don't think glossy paper showed up until like the 90s.
No, this was more
like in the 80s. You got special Baxter paper, which was
maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Glossy, but it was just thicker. No, and I think that I mean, I don't have any old War and Vampirellas, but I suspect they were just on newsprint, like like this Conan magazine I have, the Conan saga. So yeah, I don't know, especially considering when you see how bad the reproduction was. Like on
that is bad.
You get really good reproduction.
It's almost like that reproduction would be cool if that's what he was going for. This sliver of light illuminating a face, but
I wouldn't
that's not it.
Them too much. I mean, there's not so much lost, really. It's just the detail on the trench coat.
Oh, for artists, it's heartbreaking when you see your intent doesn't come out as intended.
For the bottom left panel, but everything else kind of came up Millhouse, right?
It is interesting looking at this. Is everything is clearly archival ink, because not much has changed except the panel borders. So it's like he was using like a fine liner or something non-archival, maybe like a Sharpie, to do the borders. And I guess that's a thing where it like slowly turns red over time.
Yeah, it's not light fast. Light or acids have changed the chemical properties of whatever's being used as the pigment.
And it looks like some Sharpie was used there. So I mean, it's an interesting look at the process when you can see where the non-archival was used.
Pristine too. Like
Yeah.
it's very white. So a lot of times, even when you get archival paper, the problem with it is just you touching it is infusing it with acids and oils from your hand that will eventually cause yellowing. I remember when I worked in an office supply store for 2 years, and when somebody wanted acid free, like these huge sheets of acid free paper, you had to put acid free cotton
Oh,
gloves
interesting.
on to handle it. Yeah, just so that you could say like, "Hey, anything that's yellowed is the result of you, not us or this paper."
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the paper has turned out all right. So I wonder. I think he was producing this in England. So actually, I found this other website where page 3 is, although it's very low quality, very very small. But
Oh
yeah, like
yeah.
there is something going on with the page here. Some
It
discoloration.
almost it almost looks like tape glue might have affected
Yeah,
it. Maybe.
or maybe somebody spilled something on it. Who knows?
You know, in
So
the printing of the actual Vampirella issue, there are some very faint straight lines coming down that resemble the red tape there on that scan.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
what did you guys think of this story?
So, I mean, overall,
Hmm.
the story. I mean, it is what it is. Who cares? Like, I feel nothing, no way about it. But in terms of the storytelling, when this bully is spying on the boy who's having this party with the nymphs, and he can't actually see the nymphs, he just sees the boy, and they're feeding him. The nymphs are feeding the boy, and the bully is seeing the boy, and the boy's just kind of putting invisible shit into his mouth. I thought
Yeah,
that was kind of funny. I thought that was kind of fun.
yeah,
And then he's dancing with the nymphs, and that's cool. And then like the bully's watching him, and he's just kind of like by himself. He's kind of like dancing.
He's just rocking out in
Yeah,
Wooded Glen. I don't know what this bully's problem is. This kid's just having a great time.
I can relate to the bully a little bit. You know,
oh no, yeah, I don't think you were supposed to.
Oh God.
You're supposed to relate to the kid.
Yeah.
I relate to the kid. I relate to the protagonist, but I can also see where the bully's coming from. It's like the dude's putting invisible shit into his mouth, and he stands up and starts going like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Bangarang, man.
Yeah,
And
essentially.
so it is another fun thing about seeing the original art is I think uh, actually where's this? I think there's some writing here. It says coffee stains by the Winnetika Girls Choir, which I think this takes place in like Lake Winnetika or something, which is a made up city or town. So
So he's just putting japes into his panel notes, border notes.
Yeah.
oh, okay, that might explain that. Is he's basically saying, hey, there were coffee stains on this, and it was by and he's joking about a fake choir, but
Yeah, it's
maybe
not me. It's totally this. Oh, do you think that's what that
maybe
is?
these
Coffee.
are the coffee
Yeah.
stains he's joking about.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that could be it. So, but yeah, again, he inked that one. So this is the second one that he inked, which is yeah, just gorgeous inks and just so much work being like
Yeah.
putting two different screen tones on this panel alone, just like so much work on the screen tone there, and just
The figure work on the dryads, the wood nymphs, whatever they are, also is kind of foreshadowing his young gods stuff, where
yeah,
it's a lot more. I don't know, like the Conan stuff feels like it's got kind of like a density to it, right? Like the figures have a density, especially Conan for like that's the design, but it's also I don't know. There seems to be mass there, but he's really communicating this weightless air about them that I think we see a lot more of much later on in his artistic development.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
personally, like my own final thoughts, I'm glad we did this story last, because this is the Barry Windsor-Smith I know. It's him doing everything himself, and this is the most familiar of like that I see that. Yeah, it's him, and this is the also just the most perfect of everything that we've looked at. This is the most perfect story, just in terms of layouts, in terms of like composition for each panel. Nothing conflicts with itself. Even when his use of zipatone and everything else, like it's just everything. Nothing's jarring to the eye overall.
Oh, look at this expert use of white.
Exactly. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is full.
And it's
This
just
is
like,
full form Barry.
yeah, and he's just going for it. Just like look at all the vegetation here, or just the grass and all the different plant life. Just
Yeah.
so much work being put into this, just to show off. Like,
Yeah.
he was not getting paid a very good rate at Marvel. He was not getting paid a very good rate for this, but that doesn't matter. He wanted to show what he could do, and he was clearly passionate about the medium of comics.
I also love that the bully is walking around with a charm bracelet with his own name on it.
Yeah, I found that pretty
Bart.
amusing.
How else will I know?
It's it is interesting. We have like a paste up here of Vampirella. I wish I could see what was under this.
Yeah.
More.
We had that
Yeah,
familiar
what could
cape
it be?
we saw in the Nick Fury short, or the when we covered the Nick Fury episode, we showed off this tape on some of the original art, which is interesting. But yeah, any other stray thoughts?
No, this is a great episode. I enjoyed seeing just
I'm
the
glad we did this one.
rapid change that he put himself through.
Yeah, so we're about 2 years into his career as a comic artist, and yes, pretty big changes.
Yeah.
He's come a long way since that first X-Men comic.
Yeah.
And he's doing this amazing work, and he's got to be what, 21, 22? Just stunning.
Oh my God, yeah. You think of him as like, no, he must be older than that, right? No. He started when he was 19. I just turned 40, and
I wish
I got this. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've got a lot of greatness ahead of you. You've got a lot of cool stuff coming down the
I
pipeline.
appreciate the belief that you have in me.
Well, you also got
And-
more time ahead of you than behind you. So
That's true.
And part of doing this show is we are all artists, and we want to study the craft more, right? And so, Taylor, you as an artist, just we've been at this for like a year. We've had come up pretty much every week. I think we missed 1 week in January, but like, I don't know. How do you feel you've grown as an artist just from being forced to absorb all this stuff, because we've got a weekly deadline?
I'd like to say that I've improved. Sometimes it feels like not so much, but other days I remind myself that it's much like in this. I'm trying new things, right? Much like Barry Smith, I'm trying new things. So yeah, so this week I've created the Star the Slayer, and I really wanted to focus on
nice.
light, like really letting the page be the white. And as far as I'm concerned, this is my most successful use of that so far.
Very cool.
No,
yeah,
the palette's really the palette's beautiful, actually. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The pose, I don't know. I'm sure there's something wrong with the anatomy, but as far as that goes, I'm not too concerned with it these days. That's kind of one of the things about working on this show, is that you see, something might not be technically correct, but I tried to put energy and power into the inks, tried to be bold, Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but gonna deliver one every week.
Right on.
And if anybody wants to buy a Conan the Barbarian piece from Taylor, they can buy that piece.
That started the Destroyer, though. Yeah, if you want one,
debatable.
do you want?
I just think a Conan piece would sell more than a Star of the Slayer piece.
It can be whatever you want. You can tell people whatever you'd like.
Yeah. Well, this episode was kind of planned impromptu for Halloween, and we're filming it the day after Diwali. And I don't know if it's probably going to come out in the episode that fireworks are still going off in my feed, right? But I didn't have time to come up with a drawing for this week, mainly because of this, and just because it was kind of more last minute than other episodes we have. Also, like, just so the audience may not know, is that we're trying to film more and more per week to kind of backlog to create a backlog.
And we're being unsuccessful with that.
Boy, are we!
We are. Sometimes we are. Sometimes we aren't.
Two steps forward, one step back. Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. But
well, I mean, to speak to that, we're filming this and it's coming out. We're filming this 6 days before it comes out. So,
right, yeah, pretty much.
So you're welcome.
Yeah.
And I gotta get up early and draw a comic, and it's a lot of work doing all this stuff.
Best damn comic out there, though. So make sure everybody out there, make sure to pick your copy up.
Yeah, man.
November, issue 6.
November 6th, isn't it? Or what's the release?
Yes,
date? And of course the trade paperback, right?
Get the trade paperback. Read them all together.
Comic store, order it through your comic store. If you don't have a comic store in your area, okay, fine, order it off Amazon.
Look at the work this man is putting in. Good God.
And it opens up. There's no gutter loss. It opens flat.
Oh, no.
If you want it to.
Oh, the floppies?
Jordi Belair colors. Come on.
Brilliant. Eisner winner, Jordi Belair.
That's right. Dennis Camp, words and ideas.
Yeah, the great Dennis Camp.
Yeah.
But let's close it out.
All right. Well, happy Halloween, everyone. And don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.